Studies on the biomechanics of rear-end collisions have been conducted since the 1950s. It was in those crash tests that researchers first discovered the basic motion of a rear-end collision. They found these basic phases of occupant motion. First, the occupant starts out in normal position. Then, as the car is rapidly accelerated, the car seat pushes the occupant's body forward. The head remains stationary until the rapidly moving torso yanks the shoulders forward, causing the head to extend violently backwards. Next, after the head extends backwards, it begins to rebound forward. In the final phase of the collision, the occupant's head is thrown ahead of the torso. At first, researchers thought that injuries from these types of collisions were caused by hyperextension. That is, the head and neck were thrown backwards beyond the normal range of motion. Research in the 1970s and 1980s found, however, that in low-speed collisions, the head did not move beyond this normal range. How, then, could injury occur in those patients without hyperextension? Researchers in Japan first discovered the answer to this question. They decided to analyze the motion of an occupant using video X-rays. They subjected the occupants to low-speed collisions and then carefully analyzed the motion of the cervical vertebrae. Their discovery has dramatically changed how we understand auto injuries. To understand how injuries can occur in low-speed collision, we first need to understand normal spinal motion. This is video fluoroscopy footage that shows normal motion of the neck. As we see, during normal flexion and extension, each vertebra contributes equally to the overall movement of the neck, resulting in smooth, irregular curving of the spine. This smooth motion of the spine is made possible by the facet joints on each individual vertebra. As you can see, the facet joints are angled backwards. During normal spinal movement, these facets glide across one another, allowing the spine a wide range of motion backwards and forwards. Up until 1996, researchers assumed that the spine moved the same way during a rear-end collision as it did during normal activities. This simple whiplash motion was seen as normal position before the impact, extension backwards, rebound motion forward, and then back to normal. The Japanese researchers found a completely different type of motion. Here's what they found. The occupant starts out in normal position. Then, as the seat back is accelerated forward, the torso moves with it, creating a straightening of the spine. At the same time, the occupant is sliding up the seat, causing an upward motion of the spine. Since the head is not being accelerated, it remains stationary as the seat continues to push the torso forward. This creates a rapid and violent differential motion between the upper and lower cervical spine. The Japanese researchers found that at this critical point, the lower cervical spine bends dramatically, while the rest of the spine remains straight. In fact, they found that in these joints with rapid bending, the joints exceeded their normal physiological range of motion. Dozens of studies since 1996 have reproduced these findings and have added even more insight. A group of American researchers studied in detail the motion of the facet joints. They found that during the rapid bending phase, the facets were pinched and that the articular ligaments were stretched beyond their normal range of motion. Ligament injuries can be very serious. Knee injuries are a good example. When the knee is moved beyond its physiological range, the ligaments can be stretched or torn. The pain is severe, and sometimes the knee requires surgical treatment. The ligaments of the spine are just as susceptible to damage. Detecting a minor tear or stretching of the ligaments of the neck is much more difficult. Injured ligaments usually don't show up on X-rays, CT, or MRI scans. Orthopedic or neurological tests are often negative for these types of injuries. We know these injuries exist, however, since post-mortem exams on neck-injured patients have shown this ligament damage.